You're not here.
We're not there. The car exploded. Come get the girls. I have to stay here with Woodrow.
I'm not the chauffeur. I'm the grandfather. Where are you?
Asteroid City, Farm Route 6, mile 75.
So first, very important question we've got to get into. The UFO scene. How did you capture the actual essence of seeing an alien for the first time?
That's a great question. That's a really great question because that had to be shot in different pieces over different amounts of time. And,
it was hectic.
And it was hectic, and there was like different. And so you would often be working on a scene and then say, "Can you run over really quickly for part of the alien arrival?" And the words that are used to try to—it's a master class in really directing, I guess. It's like, now look up, up, up. What's that? What's that?
Oh, that's Roman.
Whoa, it's Roman who's our directing all the second unit, just like trying to find a way to like, especially to get the little girls, my daughters to look up, like, and look up. Whoa, what's up there? Is that Mickey Mouse? Like trying to like find references, like Mickey. Like I don't know what he's talking about. It's like trying to like surprise him to look up, and yeah, hopefully it worked. But
yeah, that's true. Roman Coppola is our second unit director, and he's so great. He's very vivacious and quirky and fun, and yeah, he gives you that because you of course you're sitting in this vacuum and then other time, and so he gives you a lot of that thing of, when it's coming up, what could it be? Is it, whatever it's you can see it a little bit and it's getting closer and it looks like it's Jeff Goldblum in it, whatever. And then sometimes you would be on the set and it would be chaos because there'd be the whole cast would be there, or most of the cast. And there'd be like explosions happening and we're all trying to run and the camera is moving and there's this massive piece of equipment that our dolly grip Sandra is like trying not to run people over with. You have to make sure you stay right on your mark so you don't get decapitated by a crane. Yeah. And it was just, it was hectic.
And then Maya said something about Jeff being in the alien costume on stilts.
Which was crazy because he couldn't see. First of all, Jeff Goldblum's already like 1,000 feet tall.
Big.
And then he's on stilts, so he's then 2,000 feet tall. And then he had this insane alien coat with these humongous eyeballs, so he couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
He was totally blind inside it. And it was just...
It was incredible.
Every time he finished a short walk, we would all stand up and applaud because we just couldn't believe what he was doing. Yeah. It was just the hardest job.
That's incredible. On top of everything else the two of you two were doing. And the two of you play characters who are actors playing characters in a play. Mm-hmm. You got two different names.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did this ever get confusing? And what was the process like?
Once I started to, if you slow it down too much, it could get confused. If I start to pick it apart, if I just go with these are two people and these then I was okay. I mean, in a weird way, I should have started with the actor first. Like I think that's what you did, and then. But I just started working on thinking about the character first. I'll say that I went through all this preparation and trying to figure out who this character was, doing all this stuff for Augie. And then I realized, geez, I haven't done anything for the actor. But then I realized, no, that's why Wes is so smart. That was what the actor would have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like a weird thing where he's like, everything you've been doing is what it's supposed to have been. So that's you can just delete any of that answer.
Just cut around it.
Don't even need it.
That's what Wes had to do.
We could just come off of a great answer I had.
So, Scarlett, do we ever meet the real Mercedes then?
Yes, you meet Mercedes.
Glimpse of her?
You get a glimpse. Well, you see her in the train. Mm-hmm. So I get to have that moment, with Jake, our young co-star Jake, and she has this whole relationship, of course, with Adrien's character, that is very much we worked on that with Wes, who is what kind of an actor she, what kind of training has she had, where is she at in her career? This is a woman that will die on stage. She is like living her, she's living in the process, and then of course she then is playing now this Midge Campbell character who is this kind of illustrious movie star and is, very aware of her, how she's looked at and perceived and sort of just sitting in it and comfortable in that part of her life. She's established, you know,
Mhm.
and they both are. Both the actors are very established. But so I think Mercedes brings that part of her experience into the Midge Campbell performance, and then of course Midge is also she has her own work that she's doing
Right.
on this
On the set for
Other-
like
other-
another
Yeah,
project.
another
play
movie.
that she's working
3
on.
parts you're doing.
3 parts.
That's a lot.
It is.
It
It
is a lot.
That's
It
a
is.
lot.
Did it get confusing? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, it did.
can.
Now, Wes has said that he believes actors put a lot of themselves into their roles. So you're both playing all these roles. Was there any of each of you in them?
Yeah, I'm sure. I think because it all the work comes out of your own. It's your own kind of interpretation of someone
Mhm.
else's, experience, and you only know that from your own. It's coming out of you, right? So it's it's the ingredients are all you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a different combination of things every time. I think.
There were a lot of weird, freaky kind of parallels that happened that Wes didn't even know about until after we had talked about it. But one thing that's odd is I kind of also felt personally attached to my son as the character because of what that would be like to be, and for any child, who's so different than the rest of their family. That's what I love about this movie is it's all these people they've all kind of found each other in this crater, and are given hope by this maybe life on other planets. But the son character, what it's like to be different than his own father, than all these other people, and how he relates to people and stuff there was something that I found that I would have liked if I was 17 and I had seen that.
We spoke to Lord and Miller briefly about, of course, Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And they talked about the hours and hours you spent in the booth improvising the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Compare that to working on a Wes Anderson film. Do you have all that time to do that improv, or is it all very much what's on the page, what we rehearse?
Totally different kinds of things, but very similar in that you look at those people and I trust them so much. And I think if they haven't, both have, or all 3 of those, and also the directors of the movie, an ear for like a musician, keep playing that, play that line again. That's the skill I think that they have is they listen and they're there with the actors. The process might be slightly different, but ultimately it's the same thing of kind of closing your eyes and just waiting for something to kind of happen and then recognizing what you think is vital to your story. So it's that, but different, but similar.
If there was a double feature with Asteroid City and any other Wes Anderson film, which would you pair it with?
And any other Wes Anderson film?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
It's movie night. You got to pick
It's
2.
movie night. Is this the second movie or the first one?
Whichever one you want.
I think it would be interesting to see it next to Rushmore just because I feel like this film is it feels very much a representation of where Wes is at in his kind of mid-career, midlife. And it would be interesting to see the, where the parallels are similar, is if there are any or whatever would be in that span. I think that could be an interesting thing to do, sort of a bookend type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would like that.
I would probably do Isle of Dogs because she took
I was going to
that other
Scarlett's
one.
in it.
Yeah, because Scarlett's in it. Just to see a director working in 2 different mediums is kind of that you don't see that a lot either. You know what I mean? Being in charge of 2 different types of movies completely.
You could also see how you aged.
You can see how I aged.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which would
I
be
can
very
tell you.
interesting. Yeah.
I can tell you.
Extreme close up, zoom in, pair it side by side.
Yeah, I'll watch it with you. Just pause. See right here?
And then I'll look at you.
That's where I
kind of-
fell. That's where I fell on that rock. Okay, keep going. Sorry, I don't want to. Are you going to do this the whole movie? Yeah. See that? It's that sunspot. Look at this. I got burned.
Sunspot.
Yeah. Look at that.
You and your accomplices may still face felony prosecution, possibly even a treason charge.
I'll fight it all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary, and win.
This just in from the president.
He's furious. Thanks a lot, Ricky.
I've been asking everybody this question, really serious question. There's a UFO in this film. And if you had a chance to ask an alien anything, what would it be?
I think we could be two aliens right here, having a conversation right here. I mean, yeah, I think...
What you gonna do with that probe?
That's very good. Mine was going to be like, you got room?
See, I don't know. I thought of that, but I don't know if I really want to go. But I'd take a visit. I just,
Yeah, I'm cool here.
I'm from Queens. As I said, I don't jump on just somebody's alien spaceship just because it looks good.
You know what I mean? We gotta vet the alien.
You gotta vet it out.
There you go. Jeffrey, I'm going to start with you. Wes is clearly a fan of your theater work. What did he get right in the world of theater in this film?
I think Wes is a fan of theater generally. The theater on stage, but also he loves a certain theatricality in his filmmaking. He marries the two, blends the two in a pretty unique way. I don't think the desires to get things right. Often in Wes's films, things are kind of wrong or idiosyncratic or intentionally so. But I think what he's trying to do is celebrate a type of storytelling and an era of theater and filmmaking and artistic expression that existed in the 50s. It was really this like kind of vortex for incredibly powerful individuals and ideas coming together in America in a way that I don't think we've recreated yet, but certainly had an influence on me, I think on all of us. And, representative of a time of kind of artistic heroes for us.
Schubert's approach to theater, did you look to Wes for inspiration, or were you thinking of other directors you've worked with?
It's interesting. It's, as Jeffrey mentioned so eloquently, it's a time in, a lot of the film is really a love letter to that time, I feel like, and to creatives in visual storytelling, filmmakers, the process of making a television program or a theater production or a film production. All of those elements are intertwined in the storytelling, and also honoring the work of the process of acting and directing and screenwriting and telling of those stories. And in that era, specifically with directors and actors like Kazan and Marlon Brando and James Dean and Montgomery Clift and you name it, that, these people have influenced the acting and directing moving forward. And all of our favorite filmmakers that we grew up on would say the same thing. And Kazan was an influence to Scorsese and et cetera. And Brando would be an influence to actors of later generations because of that shift. And so for me, it was really fun to honor kind of stylistically and emotionally the men of that era who embodied that. And so it was very fun, it was very different sensibilities to people. Yeah, it was a time that was really very special.
Mm-hmm.
I did take a little bit of Wes from your performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking is different from him. I mean, they're but it wasn't a specific thing to target. It's within the writing and the textures of it.
Absolutely. I think the more I've gotten to know Wes, the more I recognize this kind of little autobiographical hints in his films, and this director who kind of immerses himself in the world that he's trying to create, I think is very much.
And it's very playful too.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
yeah.
sheltered and shut into the theater.
Exactly.
He doesn't leave the theater. It's not really safe in the real world.
Right.
And he's sleeping through the performance, and it's kind of great.
It's kind of little Western.
There's a little.
Like costume department's cleaning his clothes. He's
Yeah,
got a lot
no,
going on.
It's really brilliant.
There's some therapy in the future.
Yeah.
Well, the work, I think, is the therapy. Yeah.
That's right.
Actually, your character has a brilliant line in the film. Somebody asks, I don't know what this play is about. What is your answer, and how does that affect the whole film?
Well, I think it's a very useful message. It might, and I'm paraphrasing what the line was, but it was, what is the line exactly? You keep
Just keep
just
telling
keep
the story.
going,
Just
just
keep
keep
telling
telling
the
the story, you know. And I think that's very useful. I mean, first of all, our expectation to have all the answers is unrealistic at given times in our life, and there are inevitably going to be challenges and disruptions, and that goes beyond our real life. It goes to our work life. It goes to our personal life, and all these things. And you have to do your best and stay focused and stay at it, even if you don't know that answer specifically. And I think it's very valuable.
You know, I think in telling the story, and if you're genuine and if you're trying to,
it means being present and
it means trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to sort through it. Just that attempt sometimes is maybe the best that we can do. Not to understand it all, but try to make proper sense of it. Not to lie to oneself, but to just keep telling that story. Because in the act of storytelling, we're trying to organize our world, you know, our understanding of the world around us. And there's value and beauty in that.
And it's also a metaphor for real life.
That's right.
What do those pulses indicate?
What? Oh, the beeps and blips? We don't know.
Some of our information about outer space may no longer be completely accurate. Anyway, there's still only 9 planets in the solar system as far as we know, Billy.
Except now there's an alien.
What was your personal experience of shooting the alien scene like?
The alien was not there. It's one of the only artificial things about this movie. It was mostly entirely practical effects. And the alien itself is Oh, but remember when it's not in the alien, is it in the movie?
Which bit?
Where Jeff wore the giant alien suit?
It's in the movie.
It's in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot it. It's in the movie. And he walks up. That scene was amazing. I'm sorry I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Everyone was freaking out and taking videos of him on stilts walking through the thing.
Yeah,
he couldn't see the
9 feet
camera.
tall.
Oh, he really was on
Yes.
Yeah.
And he would walk around practicing walking on stilts. Oh, it was so long.
And
I
he had
forgot.
these scoogly eyes that they had to take an eyeball out so he could sort of see out of the face, and he had no proprioception. I don't know how he did it. It was athletic.
Insane.
Isn't Jeff Goldblum already rather tall?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And he was even taller with this. And we were in this tiny little theater that was built, and he was towering around on his stilts.
Rupert, what was your reaction when Wes Anderson said, so we need you to sing and dance?
It was like, it was one of those, you know, especially when I found out the rest of the Cowboys are all professional musicians who I admire hugely, and they just do this stuff like for breakfast. And yeah, it's a thing, you know, and Maya's a professional musician, so there's a lot of people in this cast that wouldn't have been daunted by that. I wasn't one of them. So yeah, it was a gulp.
Because you were terrified. But, well, Maya, how did he do? You are a musician and
he
a
did
singer.
splendidly. He not only did wonderful playing the lap steel, he did wonderful as a dance partner. He led the whole thing. He was just, I mean, I couldn't give Rupert higher marks.
See, you did great.
Wow, thanks.
I'm still in my teacher higher marks.
Yeah, right. Hey.
So what was more difficult for you, actually learning the lap steel guitar or the lasso?
Oh, wow. I would say the guitar, I have a bit of experience with both, but sort of in a very amateur way. The lasso is a weird thing because you do it and do it and do it, and everything lands and it lands, and it's so frustrating. And then when it clicks, there's a video of me somewhere doing it. There's just a big woohoo moment because you have that kind of, you get a post and and with that, it's when you play together and suddenly you realize you're making music. That is a feeling like no other.
No,
I'm sure
absolutely.
you know.
Now, there are a lot of children in this film.
Yeah.
And you have most of them in your scenes. What was that like? And were there any funny moments with those kids?
They were all so wonderful and professional and grateful to be there and infinite energy for the space. And the only little things about like trying to herd them and get them into the right places really helped me get into character. And I've always loved working with things that other people don't like. Like I love working with children and animals and nature in general, like water, because anything, and maybe it's because I'm like a lousy actor or something, but anything that like grounds you in the moment and makes everything really real, because maybe, you can get into these rhythms where you're like, okay, and then this is going to happen and then that's going to happen. And then your brain like, but with kids, I don't know when they're going to raise their hand. I don't know. I might have to kill a couple seconds waiting, or maybe he'll forget, or maybe she'll raise her hand instead. And you really puts you in the moment and makes your reactions just like really authentic and bright. And I don't know. I love it.
Okay, so first of all, you're not a bad actress.
Thank
so
you.
We need to stop saying that.
Okay.
And second, we just have to now know, so it's children, outside, wilderness, singing and dancing.
Yeah.
Animals. Okay,
Yeah.
So Sound of Music. Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Now, Rupert, this is your second time being in a Wes Anderson film, and this is your first. What was the experience like? If you had to explain the experience of being in a Wes Anderson film.
Happiness.
It's very convivial. There's this real sense that it's not sort of us and them with the crew and the cast, or the star or the support or the extras. There's just one feeling of community and collaboration. Everyone has the same end, which ultimately we all do when we make a film, supposedly, is just to make a great film. And if we can have a great time along the way, then awesome.
Does it feel or remind you of theater? No pun intended.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Because there is that collective energy in theatre. A good company is there for each other. They don't just come on and do their bit and then skulk off. You're all lending your energy to the thing.
And there's basically no coverage. So
Right.
it doesn't have this kind of like, okay, your go, my go, of the like television filming often has, where like you can play this game where you guess what the shots are going to be. I don't know if you ever played that game where you're like sitting backstage and you're like, okay, well, we're going to get, your coverage, my coverage, we're going to go wide, we're going to go back. And then you like bet money on if you're right about the number of shots until you get to go home. Like it's not that energy at all. It's a real, it's just a real kind of exploration of like, I wonder what they're going to have created. And then you walk into the room and they've created this track that goes all the way in a circle and there's one shot and you're gonna have to choreograph this thing where you are moving with the camera. And I don't know, it's like, it feels very theatrical to me, is my long answer.
That's awesome. Also, your actors playing actors in a play, was that hard to wrap your mind around at first?
I think it's like they're saying that one of the characters says, I don't understand what this is about. And the other one says, just keep telling the story. So for me anyway, I focused on the story we were telling at any given time rather than trying to be too meta about it.
Now, I'm very curious whether or not the two of you came up with your own backstory for your own characters, because they were so cute. They were so in love. So like after the quarantine, did they run off in the mountains together? What did they do? What happened? Did she leave the kids?
Well, we talked about it with Wes actually. He's got quite a great idea about it. We can't talk about it much more than that, but his mind will always have a better idea than, because they're his inventions. I mean, we brought them to life, but he invented them. So.
But we did come up with our own little like backstories about, or like about what kind of would be the obstacles keeping these people from immediately talking to each other and just kind of getting into it, and the kind of boundaries of class and society and roles and where everyone thought was proper for them or not, and how they kind of finally kind of get to each other by the end of the story.
Let's talk about that a little bit, what Wes had mapped out. I know you can't tell me exactly what he said, but what was sort of this world that he created? Did he give you all beginning, middle, and ends to your characters' lives? Or he did leave that up to you?
Very in the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, and what happens within Asteroid City is the main focus.
If you had to have like a movie night and you were going to pair Asteroid City with any other Wes Anderson movie, which one would you pick?
You mean like a double bill?
Yep.
Oh man, I don't know if I think any of them would work. I mean, that's a bit of a crappy answer, isn't it?
But maybe Life Aquatic.
Maybe, yeah. Tenenbaums, because I know there's a, but I just think anything that he's dreamt up comes through the same filter of the way of looking at the world. So I honestly think you could sort of spin the dice, and whatever the pairing was, it would be, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. You know. No,
but I think it's like, I mean, the reason I said it, I feel like this is such an ensemble one.
Yeah.
That you'd either be tempted to like pick another really big ensemble one like Grand Budapest or Moonrise or Life Aquatic, or you'd be tempted to like you Bottle Rocket, you know, and like pair this with his first film, and that might be like one of the most interesting.
Most recent, first, yeah, that's true.